guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we will be talking about Taylor Swift and we will be talking about books, which are arguably two of my favorite things ever. Now, I wanted to film this video yesterday, but yesterday was kind of a shit show. So I'm filming this video today and I'm hoping that it brings a bit of lightness because things are a bit dire on this side of the camera. Now I am in my red and blues because I am watching the brand new Spider-Man movie later today, so don't mind the patriotic colors. Okay, so today we will be basically talking about books, but we will be correlating them to Taylor Swift's 12 studio albums. So I'll be giving you a recommendation for each of her eras, what I think it encompasses, what I think matches its vibe. So maybe if you really like folklore and you're looking for a book that matches that vibe, you're in the right place because today we will be doing that. The first album that we'll be talking about today is Debut. So for this book, I really wanted to do a cowboy romance, something that felt a bit western, a bit twangy and southern, and that's why I picked Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. I gave this book 5 stars. This is the first book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. This book follows our girl Clementine, exactly like the song, and she moves back home after escaping her small town. She moves back home because she got an injury riding horses, so she moves back home. How many times am I gonna say she moves back home? But there is this man, kind of someone that has been in her life forever, and he's like this bigger older brother type, like in the beginning, like when they were younger, but now things are a bit different. He is also known as the town bad boy. I think his family or his father was caught up in some illegal and nefarious activities. So this is kind of their love story. It's very short, it's like 300 pages. It is a lot of fun and it does really give me that debut Taylor Swift vibes. The next album is, of course, Fearless. I was really thinking of doing something Romeo and Juliet, so I was thinking a forbidden romance. I was also thinking going the fantasy route, but I decided to talk about To All of the Boys I Loved Before. Now everyone knows about To All of the Boys I Loved Before, but if you haven't read it yet, you really should. It is way better than the movies, of course. So To All of the Boys I Loved Before I think encompasses that teen feeling of yearning, and I think Lara Jean really does that so well by writing letters to her crushes and confessing her undying love, and I feel that that's such a Taylor Swift thing to do. So To All of the Boys I Loved Before follows Lara Jean, our main character, and she kind of has these letters, like I mentioned, that she wrote to all of her crushes and all of the boys she has fell in love with throughout her life. So from when she was in primary school, now when she's in high school, she writes these letters. And because she's kind of an antisocial recluse, her sister decides to send out these letters, and her life kind of self-destructs because a boy finds the letter and he's like, bro, what is this? And they kind of start fake dating. They kind of pretend to be boyfriend and girlfriend, and it is very sweet, very cute, a YA romance. So if you're looking for no spice, that is the way to go. And when you finish reading the 3-book series, you can go watch the movies on Netflix because they're also very cute, and I do a rewatch every now and then. The next album is Speak Now, one of my favorite Taylor Swift albums. I think Dear John is kind of unmatched, Foolish One, Speak Now is just incredible. So I obviously knew I was gonna recommend a fantasy book because dragons is a very strong theme in this book, so you can really read any book with a dragon in it to give this type of vibe. But I went with an all-time favorite, Divine Rivals. Now it did help that this cover was also purple. You'll see some of these covers actually match really well. So we have Divine Rivals. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I have talked about this book many a times on this channel before, and for good reason, because it is so good. We follow our two characters. They are rivals at a newspaper in their town. This is like in London, I think. And they're rivals, so we have some enemies to lovers here, and they are both kind of competing for like a promotion. Only one of them will get the promotion. Whilst that's going on, there is also a war going on, which they are both reporting on, and another side branch, they each have typewriters, and they are magic typewriters and they are linked. So they are kind of sending each other letters and notes through these typewriters, and he knows who he's talking to, she does not know. So they kind of fall in love with each other that way, but she doesn't know she's falling in love with him. So there's a kind of, it's kind of a love triangle, but not really, because the love triangle is the same man. And then they go to the war and they go in the trenches, form a bond, and it's really freaking cool. I think there are dragons in here. There are wyverns, which are arguably scarier and kind of cooler. So Divine Rivals is a perfect book in my opinion, also a 5-star read, so I think you should definitely read it. And I feel it encompasses the Speak Now album very well. We have a tumultuous relationship in Speak Now, Dear John, and Story of Us, Speak Now. So it gives me that vibe, and I just think you should read Divine Rivals regardless, because it is just so freaking good. The next album we have is Red. And this is also one of my favorite albums, featuring favorites like All Too Well 10-minute version. We have Sad, Beautiful, Tragic. We of course have bops like 22. Red, oh my god, I can go on and on about Taylor Swift's Red album. But I was really struggling picking a book for this era, just because we have a lot of different vibes going on in this album. We have some fun pop, we have some country sounds, then we have some fucking heartbreaking songs that make you want to curl up and die. So I decided to go with Magnolia Parks. Now this book is kind of insane, and I felt that really matches because Red is, this might get me killed, Red is known to be an uncohesive album. Now I just like that there are many different vibes to the album, and that is fine, that is fair, and I think Magnolia Parks does this so well. There's a bit of drama, there are unlikable characters, everything is kind of insane and all over the place, and I feel that's just what Red is. Not to mention a lot of tumultuous relationships, there's a bit of cheating going on. It is a real wild ride, and then there's a love story trying to break through, which I think is kind of imperative to every Taylor Swift album. But Magnolia Parks is about, how do I say this? If you like Gossip Girl, you will like Magnolia Parks. We followed this group of, I think, young adults or maybe 18-year-olds, like older teens, maybe like early 20s, I don't know, can't remember. And they are, I think, the high life in the UK. So they're like like Blair Waldorf, but in London. And they're kind of all rich and famous, and they have really champagne problems. They have champagne problems, and it's really messy. There's a bunch of stuff that goes on, and it is really good. I rated this book 4 stars, and I think you should read it if you haven't read it yet. After Red, we have 1989, also a favorite album. I don't know, I'm gonna say this about like every album. 1989, Very great album with some underrated hits like Out of the Woods, All You Had to Do Was Stay. What else are some favorites? Clean. I don't think these are underhyped. I just think y'all aren't singing them enough. Set and Go. Obsessed. I was also really struggling picking this book because I was like, do I need to book in New York? I mean, that would make sense to put a book in New York. But then I thought, you know, let's go for a city book. And I chose Mile High by Liz Tomford. This is the first book in the, I think, the Mile High series. This is not set in New York. This is set in Chicago, but it does give that city-like feel that I believe New York, 1989 kind of gives. In this book, we have a flight attendant and a hockey star, and she is the flight attendant on his flight, and they kind of develop a relationship. We have a bit of enemies to lovers. We about to have a bit of family drama. I think our female main character Stevie can really relate to a lot of the songs on 1989, especially Clean. I think is really good. I really like when authors discuss family relationships in books, especially if they are complicated and complex, especially between mothers and daughters, and how the patriarchy and beauty standards and stuff like that affect those relationships. And I really love this. I love when books do that, but I especially love this one, and Liz Tomford does this so well. We also have a plus size heroine in this one. We have a bit of body diversity. We have a bit of diversity period in this series, and I'm just obsessed, and I think you should read it. Then after 1989, we also have Reputation. Okay, I think this is my favorite Taylor Swift album, hands down, but sometimes it changes, guys. It changes. If you're a Swiftie, you know. So Reputation is kind of Taylor Swift's Fuck You album, and then also one of the most beautiful love albums I have ever seen. So I would say Reputation is about finding love and happiness in darkness. And I think a very great book for this album is the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. Now, if you don't know what the Mindfuck series is about, this is like a 5-book series about our female main character, Lana. And when she was young, something really tragic happened to her, and now she's back and she's getting revenge by murdering them all. And very proficiently, I might say. She's doing some messed up stuff, getting her revenge, and she kind of attracts the main FBI agent who's on the case, like who's solving the murders, and she kind of gets involved with him. So this is really about Lana getting her revenge and falling in love in a dark time. And I think that's just so beautiful and poetic, and the Mindfuck series is one of my favorite series of all time as well. 5-star series. Go read it right now. After Reputation, we have Lover. And yes, Lover is a love album. It has some beautiful love songs on it, like Daylight. But I think the album is also shrouded in such anxiety of, will my partner leave me? Am I ruining this? Are you ruining us? I don't know. I'm just scared to lose you, and I don't know who I am without you at this stage. So this is a very anxious album. Like, sometimes when I re-listen to this album, especially Paper Rings, which sounds like such a fun song, such a beautiful song about saying, like, I don't care about diamonds, I don't care about riches, I would marry you with paper rings. That's just so cute, but the undertone is so anxious, and that's why I decided to go with Rock Bottom Girl by Lucy Score. This is about our female main character. She kind of hits rock bottom and she moves back home, the one place where she wanted to escape from. And especially after what happened at her high school senior prom. So she moves back She applies to be a teacher and she kind of starts fake dating the track coach or another teacher at the school, and they kind of come to an arrangement of sorts. He will teach her how to be a coach for her soccer team, and she will coach him on how to be in a fulfilling relationship. I would say our female main character deals with a lot in this book, a lot of self-discovery, a lot of anxiety, and will they or won't they? Does he like me? Does he not like me? Is he only doing this because I'm doing this for him? And I think this is also one, guys, these are all favorite books. I rated this 5 stars. I read this a while ago, but it was really freaking good, and it's a cute, fun romance with bits of serious undertone. That is what I think the Lover album kind of is. It's fun and cool and flirty and sexy at the top, but dig a bit deeper and there's some nuance there, and I feel that's what Rock Bottom Girl by Lucy Score really is. Then we have A Long Ass Break, and we have Folklore, also one of my favorite albums, featuring tracks like Mirrorball, Hoax. Hoax is so underrated, guys. I love that freaking song, Cardigan. And I feel that, I don't know, it was a struggle picking a book for this because there are some lighter songs on Folklore, and then there are some very dark and depressing songs like Hoax and This Is Me Trying. So I decided to go with something happy, and that is Tusk Love. This is a fantasy romance, and it really just gives me that mystical, fantastical vibe of being in the forest and wandering around with a lot of different creatures and characters that you would see in like a grim fairy tale. So in this book, our female main character is she kind of has this dowry, and her parents have kept this box, this secret box, and she wasn't allowed to open it, and she will be married off to like a lord in some other realm. So to ensure her safety, they entrust an orc to guide her through the forest and the towns so that she ends up safely at her betrothed castle. So obviously during this journey they kind of form a friendship, form a bond, and eventually fall in love. But there are some darker undertones of magic. There are some people who really want what's in that chest and would do anything to get it. So there are some dark themes which I think really matches well with the folklore era. Then we have Evermore. I also struggled with picking books for this era because I could totally go the witchy route, I could go a lighter route, but I decided to go with Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. Now, if you don't know what Outlander is, we follow our female main character Claire, and she is a nurse. The war just ended, so this is kind of a historical book, which I think kind of really fits in with Evermore, with the storytelling. So they both go to Scotland for their honeymoon and to try and rekindle some flames between them because they've both been kind of away during this war. And so they go to Scotland and they visit Craig June and the Standing Stones. Now the thing with these Standing Stones is that they're a bit of magic, they're a bit fantastical. So Claire one day goes out at night and witnesses these, how would I say, nymphs, dancers, fairies. They are dancing around, prancing, singing, jiving around these stones, and it's like wondrous, beautiful, glowing magic. Really reminds me of her Eris Tour set for Willow, so another bonus point for that. And the next day, when going to grab flowers because she is a healer and she likes herbs and stuff. She touches the stones and gets transported back in time, 200 years back in time to be more specific. And there all kind of shenanigans ensues. She gets discovered by a man that looks exactly like her current husband, but he's not her current husband. He's kind of an evil loser, and she kind of runs from him and runs straight into the arms of Jamie Fraser. And before you know it, they kind of get married of convenience, because lady, you're like in the 1700s, dressed in like a single tunic and robe, and you're unmarried. So she kind of has to figure this out, like how to get back to her original time. And then she's also fighting that in a few years, these men are going to fight and lose a war. So she kind of grows closer to the clan, to Jamie, and it's just one of the most beautiful stories ever. If you haven't read this or even watched the show, go do that, because it is incredible and I've watched it, rewatched it many times. After Evermore, we have another great Taylor Swift album, Midnights. The more and more I listen to Midnights, the more and more I get obsessed with it, because that album really is that girl. And I think I found the perfect book for this album, and I'm talking about The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Now, the fact that they both have the word midnight in them is just purely coincidence. This story is so perfect for what Midnights was as a concept. So the Midnights album that Taylor Swift wrote was about 12 or 13 midnights in and throughout her life. So it's kind of, now we're in New York in 2014. Oh, now we're at the start of her career. Oh, now we're during COVID time. So it is really interesting and very hard to piece together. And some songs, I'm still like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and I'm concerned. So The Midnight Library by Matt Haig follows a very similar premise. Our female main character dies, and she ends up going to the Midnight Library, and in this library she can choose to open books to see what her life could have been if she made other choices. So say she continued swimming throughout school, she could have been an Olympic swimmer. Say she continued playing guitar, she could have been a rock star. So we see all these different types of lives. We see how it changes the lives around her. Like in one reality, she has a brother. In another reality, she doesn't. In one reality, she has a father. In another reality, she doesn't. And it's very, very interesting and very freaking cool. You can only move on to the afterlife when you kind of figure out what it is you want, what it is you need to move on. And it was very good, and also a great book to read if you're looking for a fun summer read. It's like maybe 300 pages. Very easy to get into, and such a fun, interesting book. After Midnight, we have the massive album, The Torture Poets Department, which has like 31 songs, which is kind of incredible that Taylor Swift gave us an album like that. And Torture Poets is also one of my favorite albums of all time. Cassandra, Chloe Sandwich, Sophia Marcus, The Prophecy, Clara Bow. Oh, a bunch of amazing songs. The Torture Poets Department is one of Taylor Swift's most vulnerable albums, I believe. She kind of just laid everything out there and was like, this is what I've been feeling for the last 2-3 years. And I've been kind of going insane, and I'm kind of so fucking sad and no one noticed. But I'm better now, so yeah, you can listen to the pain now. And I think what was a more fitting book to recommend than Alchemized by Sen Lin Yu. Now, this is the published version of Sen Lin Yu's fanfiction that was based on Harry Potter, Manacled, and it is incredible. If you don't know what this book is about, it's like Handmaid's Tale meets Harry Potter magic. So we have our female main character. She's kind of enslaved to be a broodmare. So her whole purpose is to have babies with the elite men, just like in Handmaid's Tale. And there's magic going on, there's a war going on, there's secrets, there's very much emotions and tears and sadness. I think this was one book where I was like, excuse me? And it is also big and beefy, just like the Tortured Poets department is. This book is incredible and I love it so much. Yeah, I love it so much. Then we have Taylor Swift's most recent album, The Life of a Showgirl, and say what you want, but there are some great songs and some great songwriting on that album. I mean, The Fate of Ophelia, you can't tell me that you didn't love that song upon first listen. Or Opalite, or Elizabeth Taylor, or Cancelled. Love those songs. And I thought a fitting story novel set of characters for the last book rec and for the last album would be The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Now, Evelyn Hugo is the showgirl in my opinion, and I feel The Life of a Showgirl is the perfect album for her and for this book. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo follows this journalist as she kind of discovers Evelyn's story about her 7 marriages. Much like Elizabeth Taylor, who had a lot of husbands and got married, and like Taylor Swift, who has had many relationships and has been judged for that and shamed for that, which was wrong, by the way. And this book follows each husband, what happened, how they fell in love, why they got married, maybe they didn't even fall in love. And it follows Evelyn and her story and her true love and discovering her. And it's just so beautiful. I cried at the end of this book because it's really sad and it's so bittersweet. And I just love this book. Oh, I just love The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And I think this is the perfect book to end on. Okay guys, that is all for today's video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It is completely free. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And then check me out on social media. I post content on there too. And yes, that is all for today's video. I'll see you when I see you. Bye bye.